'Twas Christmas Eve, did I decide, the goose that flew, the one that fried, that goose on high would I contrive its sad demise. The one that flew would I in stew immerse on Christmas Day this year, for fear that else I had not much repast, nor would I till the new year last without such bounty succulent and ripe. No more lank gruel, no more foul tripe, but goose I would my table stock with, goose I would my fork consume with. And so to marshland grey and damp I took my blunderbuss, and sinking deep within the bog, my bollocks freezing moist with slime, nor blizzards nor howling banshees heeded, took my aim as the great goose feeded upon his rank and fetid turf. And just as trigger had I squeezed, like some ancient Roman augur rose the bird in all its splendour, took to wing and soared beyond the scope of my gigantic gun. Then, turning head in scorn, it paused, seeming in its mind to cause some deeply intestinal motion, a disemboweled foul commotion, a fart of monumental portion, with quivered loins, facial distortion. Then did the goose proceed to crap upon my face and in mine eye. "I'm blinded, fucking goose!" I cried. And just as goose thought to scupper, a lightning bolt from some black cloud discupper goose with deafening loud, explosive complimentary fart from heaven above. Oh, holy buttocks, that goose did poleaxe, tumbled down, and gathering sorry goose from ground, I made my way back through the mud and hung it next to Christmas pud, the morrow planning goose to relieve of gizzard feathers, and thus retrieve some semblance of a Christmas feast, exact revenge upon the beast. I woke on Christmas morn forlorn to find my stocking empty, devoid of cheer, no Christmas here, the fire out, the dog gone stiff, died in the night of Christmas Eve, another mishap sent to peeve my very soul to perdition. I did attempt a seasonal carol, and tripping o'er the empty barrel from which my Christmas ale had leaked, abandoned even this rendition of Hark the Fucking Herald Angels Sing, becoming tangled in a web of mouldy clothes left dripping in my mangle, my hair yet tangled with the poop of strangely grinning goose, still cock-a-hoop, a fiendish mocking grin despite its deathly pallor. Resolved I there right then to stuff the bastard bird full chestnuts with, and heretofore set fire to my beard, as stove I several times did light, and watch with growing ire falter, spit, and die again. Not even embers glowing did it leave. I wept, and thence wiped snort upon my sleeve, and set about the goose with swords. Its guts I rendered on the walls of my now freezing forest hovel. I stove goose head with ancient shovel. I snapped goose feet with vicious pliers. I crucified said goose in crown of briars. I resurrected every Christian spirit to wreak revenge upon that fucking goose. And as my head I placed in noose, and bid farewell to rotting dog, and thought of lost and unrequited loves, the hand of God once more did intervene with heavenly fire. Oh, wondrous clap, not like that which my doctor diagnosed, but sent from paradise itself to light the fire, the goose now golden, its melting fat all glistening, the chestnuts sizzled. I'd have my Christmas yet. And yet, did I espy some devious shrinkage in the bird, as though it sought escape in death? Why, yes, whereas before it had been almost grand, now was it wizened, an older bird, all shrivelled, as if to mock me more. Diminished further did it grow, in inverse ratio to my alarm, from peacock size to pea reduced. My vengeance on the bird transduced, belatedly I sought to capture, leaking goose fat on my platter, and burnt my hand. I dropped the plate, and scraping grease from floor of slate, came face to face upon the stove with shrunken goose, now pimple size, as like a blackhead on the arse of my long lost and not so dear departed wife. I snapped with fish-faced avarice, and managed thus this final morsel to consume. Oh, marvellous taste that I did slaver and roll within my mouth. Savoury salvation, even until the very last recorded molecule of goose. I licked the slates of fat until my tongue turned black, and satiated thus fell back into a wondrous slumber. 'Twas Boxing Day, the cupboard bare, and yet replete with roasted, if somewhat diminished goose, and fattened with the grease from slated floor. I sat and stared into the roaring flames of heaven-lit stove, and contemplated, as all men are wont to do, my navel, fat and hairy, not unlike the breast of that now cooked, depleted bird, and thought I heard the rumblings of a distant thunder, and thus disturbed, made haste to move from my luxurious repose, and heard again, now somewhat close, a dark and sinister percussion, which seemed to emanate from deep within. My stomach churned, to think such din might herald thus a coming storm. My jowls did ache, my knees did quiver. So, seeking to allay my fears, I stumbled from my rotten chair, threw wide the door, and stared out to a sunlit sky. No thunder clouds nor rain did I perceive. It seemed the thunder rolled and thundered in my gut. I turned towards the outdoor privy, and, catching heels in a rut, thus tumbled full foursquare upon the ground, my nose impaled upon a thorn which buried had itself become within the turds of dead and decomposing dog. Once more I seemed accursed by God. As I lay there, my broken bones unnumbered, my raging intestinal thunders unhinging each adjacent organ, a growing sense of rank foreboding, inexorable excretions creeping, a growth of monumental portent, an inverse roasted goose-like tumour, expanding bowels inflaming bladder, at any moment set to blow, a foul-inspired foul vendetta that seethed and bubbled like a cauldron. My belt did creak, my buckle snapped, my trousers split from cheek to cheek. Somehow the goose grew fatter still, and cackled audibly inside. All swollen, black and purplish veins did writhe and seethe upon my paunch, and just when gut I thought would split, when arse I felt was fit to blitz the village miles beyond with vast explosive torrent of shit no deity in heaven could ever staunch, a lightning bolt did rend asunder my sore distended sorry gut, and dissipate all pent-up thunder, release not one goose but a glut, all golden fleeced and full of mirth, all ornithologically immaculate birth, a whole fucking flock from just one girth, each golden goose a fortune worth, yet not one goose could I ensnare, not one gold feather, as I lay there. I lay askance upon the ground, and heard the sound of 3 wise men the merits of myrrh and gold, of frankincense and yonder star. I don't know who you think you are, I yelled to them, still thus prostrate. But Christmas time was yesterday. You're one whole day too fucking late!